Hello and welcome everybody to part one of my three-part series on how to fly the attack helicopter in Battlefield 6. My name is WolfBrink and I am currently rank 450 in the attack helicopter at the time of making this video, and I have flown in every battlefield since Battlefield Bad Company 2, and my goal with the series is to help all of you become better pilots and gain the confidence and ability to unlock a whole new experience for yourselves in Battlefield, piloting the attack helicopter. This series is going to be broken down into three key videos. The very first video is going to be very beginner friendly. We're going to start with the extreme basics. The goal of this video is going to be basic movement, explanation on inertia mechanics, and how to gain and maintain speed with the helicopter, and just overall maneuverability. The second video is going to be more so about the weapon systems, loadouts, how to properly aim and utilize the munitions of the attack helicopter to its greatest potential. This video is also going to cover key survivability tools you'll need to use in order to stay in the air as long as possible using what you've learned from the first video. The third video is going to be a little bit more advanced mindset content. So how to pick apart the maps, what lanes to look for when it comes to enemy vehicles, what target priority should be, and more in-depth tips and tricks that pulls the first two videos together and into actual gameplay. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the very first video, and let's start with a really quick settings overview and some recommendations for that. So before we actually hop into the helicopter itself, let's touch base on a couple of the key settings. So first things first, I'm going to have a link down in the description of this video that goes to my settings guide. I highly recommend that you guys watch that settings guide. That way you guys know exactly what I'm talking about when I'm going to be going through this video, and you know what my keybinds are. So I'm going to go through the rest of the video without bringing that up, assuming that you guys already know my keybinds and have my keybinds all set. That being said, if you go into your settings and you come down here to where it says mouse and keyboard, vehicle mouse aim sensitivity. So that's going to be the main sensitivity for your helicopter and how easy it is to turn the helicopter right and left. I play on a relatively low sensitivity at 5.3. So when you're following these guides, if you feel like you need more sensitivity for your helicopter, just turn this up a little bit. I see a lot of people play somewhere in that 10 to 20 range. It is usually pretty comfortable for most people, but I wanted to point that out. I am going to just quickly go down my control settings. I do have those at 200. And then down here at helicopter keybinds, I'm going to quick scroll through this. You can pause the video and look at these if you would like, but I highly recommend just watching my settings guide. So now that I've touched base on that, let's go ahead and hop into the helicopter and let's get into the basics of flying the attack helicopter in Battlefield 6. So I'm going to touch on this here a little bit later in this video, but something just to point out here at the very beginning is the helicopters in this game do have a lot of inertia based movement. So the helicopter almost has a certain weight to it. So when you throw the helicopter around, that weight does carry you in that direction. And part of that is the speed of the helicopter. So if you go into first person mode like this, on the bottom left side on the dash of the cockpit here, you're going to see 0 kph. So that's the speed of the helicopter. You'll notice that when I accelerate up, that speed goes up. When I accelerate down, the speed goes up. And then when I get as close to holding still as possible, that speed starts to stabilize. That number correlates to how fast you're able to turn this helicopter. So when I am hovering at a very low speed like right now, and I take my mouse and I swipe around my mouse pad all the way over to the edge of my keyboard here, it basically does 2 full turns when I have that speed very, very low. Now, if I am moving fast, so if I'm accelerating up and say I get to 80 and I do that same exact movement, see how I only did a turn and a half that time with the same amount of movement? So that speed does affect the sensitivity for how fast you can turn the helicopter. The same thing goes for moving forward. That one turn was 2 turns, but now that I'm flying at 222 kilometers per hour, if I do that same slow pull across the mouse pad to the edge of my keyboard here, I only did 1 full turn. And the only reason that I was able to get a full turn in is because since I started that turn at full speed, the helicopter started slowing down as I was turning, which also increased the speed of that turn. So keep in mind, the speed of your helicopter is going to have an impact on the sensitivity on how fast you can actually turn your helicopter. So that being said, let's get into the basic flight controls of the helicopter, and I'll touch base more on that here in just a little bit in the video. So the very first thing that I am going to teach you guys, and again, I'm going to reiterate this for the last time, this is going to be extremely beginner friendly. So I'm going to start off very, very slow in this video. So on the bottom of the screen, as you guys are going to see right down here, you're going to see my on-screen display. So I have my mouse and my keyboard displaying on the screen. Use that as a reference guide when I'm talking about the instructions in this video. So if you're brand new to flying, what I want you to do is when you get into the helicopter, you get all your keybinds set. The first thing I want you to do is just hold down W. If you're on controller, just hold down your accent key. I'm not touching anything else. All I'm doing is just getting the helicopter into the sky. And the reason I want you to do this is I just want to get you into the sky without overcomplicating things and having you inputting roll and then going all over the place. Then once you get into the sky, go ahead and pull down on your mouse just a little bit to level out your helicopter. So now you're actually just airborne. And this is no flight assist. This is just how you get up into the sky. So what I want you to do, now that you've gotten W down and you're up in the sky, go ahead and hold down S. And what I want you to do is just use W and S to kind of toggle the helicopter up and down through the sky. So up and down using W and S or whatever that is on your controller. And I want you to use your mouse to look up and down. So the reason I'm starting off very, very simple like this is I want you just to get a feel for the helicopter. I highly recommend what you do is you just sit here and you toggle W and S for a little while, get an idea for how that inertia feels on the helicopter and how long it takes to hold that down before that helicopter actually gets to full speed. So once you get used to that, and once you guys start getting comfortable with just being here hovering in the sky, I want you to start incorporating looking left and looking right a little bit more while you're doing it. Just go ahead and do a couple full 360s, spin your helicopter around a couple of times, get a good idea for how that feels. What you're going to notice in the helicopter when it comes to turning is if you take your mouse and you swipe your mouse really fast, it doesn't turn the helicopter very much. See how I only did like a quarter of a turn there, maybe almost half a turn. If I do that same swipe, but I turn really slowly and I slowly drag my mouse, I just did 2 360s almost. So the speed that you move the mouse doesn't move the helicopter too much. It's what it is that slow controlled speed. And that's what's going to really turn the helicopter at a way faster speed. So once you start getting it figured out, you guys, and you're holding W to get up in the sky, you're holding S to go down, you're looking right, you're looking left. What I want you to do is just spend like 5 minutes. Just fly around the map for 5 minutes. Now, once you start to get a really good feel for how this helicopter is feeling using those buttons, we're going to start incorporating the roll mechanic. And so on the keyboard, you're going to have A, which rolls left, and D, which rolls right. So roll is going to be crucial when it comes to more fine-tuned movements in the helicopter and turning the helicopter. So let's go ahead and start incorporating that. What I want you to do is now that you're up in the sky, using what I just showed you earlier, using W and S and looking right and left, once you get up here, what I want you to do is just hold down A, then hold down D, then hold down A, then hold down D, and then just kind of keep your altitude. But I don't want you to do anything crazy. Hold down D, hold down A. Now, the reason I want you guys to do that, you'll notice that if I just tap D, it only turns you a little bit, just this little tiny micro adjustments. And so when you hold down D, there's a little bit of time that it takes for that helicopter to rock and actually use that full momentum to get that helicopter to go sideways. So the reason I want you to sit up here and rock is just to get a good feel for how long it's taking for that helicopter to fully rotate to the side to get that inertia going. And these are just all of your basic movement controls of the helicopter. Now, the reason if you're brand new that I want you to practice this for a little while is it's going to get you very familiar with how the helicopter feels and handles based on the sensitivity that you're using. So that's going to be crucial because everybody uses a different sensitivity and the helicopter is going to behave differently based on that sensitivity. So you need to get the muscle memory going for the sensitivity of your helicopter. Now, again, nothing about what I just covered is anything groundbreaking. It is just the basic flight controls of the helicopter, but mastering the basics is what's going to make everything else come to you a lot more naturally with the helicopter. Now that you've spent some time, you've gotten used to the very basic movements of the helicopter, and you're actually able to get the helicopter up into the sky and hover and move around the map a little bit, I'm going to start talking about a key mechanic you have to keep in the back of your mind the entire time that you're flying. So the helicopters in Battlefield 6 have a lot of inertia-based movement. And let me show you exactly what I mean by that. Now, I'm going to do this without even touching my keyboard so you can see what I mean. Normally you have to hold down W to get speed with the helicopter, but watch what happens if I just take my hand off the keyboard. I just nose the helicopter down. Notice how much speed that I'm gaining right now from the weight of the helicopter with the nose down. And now what I'm able to do is I'm able just to kind of coast around the map without even touching the keyboard. I'm just floating around using the inertia of the helicopter and the weight of the helicopter to travel around. As you can see, I just circled this entire mountain without even touching my keyboard once. It's strictly just using the mouse and using the weight of the helicopter and keeping my nose slightly tilted down to travel around the map. So that being said, and now that you guys know there's a lot of inertia at play when it comes to using the helicopter, let's go ahead and talk about the main question that I get asked a lot, which is how do I fly fast using the attack helicopter in Battlefield 6? So there's two ways to get speed out of the helicopter. One is what I just covered, which is the inertia of the helicopter. When you're flying up really, really high in the sky, one of the ways that you can get even more speed than what I showed you is by actually utilizing the keyboard movements. So if you look at my on-screen display on the bottom of the screen, not only am I tilting my helicopter down, but now I'm holding down my acceleration key or your ascent key, which is W in my case. Then once I get down low to the ground like so, I constantly hold down the W key, but I'm always keeping the nose of my helicopter tilted slightly down. And by doing that, you're able to get the speed that I'm showing you on screen right now. Now, it's really important that you keep the nose of your helicopter tilted down at a very slight angle, like what you're seeing on screen right now. But you'll see that all I'm doing when I'm going around this mountain is I'm just holding W the entire time. So whatever your accelerate or ascent key is on controller or mouse and keyboard, hold that down the entire time you're flying, tilt your nose down just a couple of degrees, and then fly around the map. And all I'm doing is I am just tapping my roll keys. See how I'm just tapping my roll keys as I'm going around the map and just slowly turning my mouse. I'm just slowly pulling left on my mouse. I'm tapping A a couple of times just to rotate the helicopter, tapping D a couple times to level out once I get to a straight line. And it's really easy. So what I recommend you guys do is find a map like this one. I'll put the code on here and just grab the helicopter and just take a little bit of time to just fly in circles around this mountain. Use your A and D keys just to roll the helicopter in the direction you're turning. Use your mouse to turn, and then level out with the opposite key when you get into the straight path over the runway here. And this is going to help you kind of get a feel for how that roll key is going to help you turn the helicopter. So that being said, once you figured out the basic flying, you're able to fly around this mountain, you're able to maintain speed like I am doing right now. Let's get into actually turning the helicopter and doing 180s in the helicopter now that you're getting the speed figured out. All right, guys. So now that you're getting the basics figured out, you got the up, you got the down, look left, look right, look up, look down. You're able to get the helicopter into the sky without actually crashing into the mountain or doing a barrel roll into the tarmac. Let's go ahead and talk about in-depth turning. So I already touched base on how to turn slightly by just slightly using your roll key, turning into the direction you rolled, and then rolling back out to stabilize to go straight. That's exactly what you were doing when I was teaching you how to go around that mountain over there on Operation Firestorm. So that works really good for your fine-tuned movements, but what about if a jet is chasing you or a helicopter is chasing you and you want to do this, where you do a full flipped 180 really, really quick to fight back? So you'll notice that I did use roll mechanics there in order to flip this helicopter around really fast. So let me show you exactly how I do that and how I turn on a dime. So there's two ways to turn the helicopter. There's your traditional just use your mouse or keybind to turn. So for example, if I wanted to turn left, I could just sit here and just use my mouse and just flip around on whatever I'm trying to shoot at. And then you could also have a keybind set, which I have left control and spacebar. So if I wanted to turn left using my keybinds, I could just hold down my keybind like so. It takes a little while for it to actually turn around, but you get there eventually. Now, what I like to do, and I have found to be the best way to actually turn in 180 the helicopter, get your speed going, just like what you're seeing right here. Say there's a helicopter behind me. So if I want to turn left, what I do is I hold down D on the keyboard to roll right, pull left, hold A to roll back into it, and then you flip around extremely fast. Why that works so well is what I talked about earlier, and that's the inertia with the helicopter and the weight of the helicopter. So when you roll out, when you turn like that, it's taking the whole weight of the helicopter and flinging it to the side. And so what that does is it creates a really quick initial turn, and then when you roll back into it, it flips it back the other way really fast. So you're using the weight of the helicopter and that inertia mechanic I was talking about earlier in order to turn your helicopter. So let me go ahead and demonstrate that one more time for you guys, so that way you guys can try to copy it. Again, on-screen display on the bottom of the screen so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. But let me talk you through it. So get your speed going. Tilt the nose of the helicopter down. Get your speed going. Say there's an enemy helicopter behind you that's chasing you right now and you want to turn left to shoot him. What you do is you use D to roll to the right, swipe your mouse left, hold A to roll back around, and that flips you right back onto him. So I'll do it one more time for you. Get your speed going. Helicopter comes up behind you. You want to hold down D to roll to the right, turn, hold down A to roll back over to the left, and that flips you right back on him. So that does two things. For one, it makes it to where the helicopter rolls really fast and does that 180 as fast as possible. But for two, instead of just being kind of a sitting target when you're turning, when you're just doing a traditional turn like this, so it's really predictable and they can see exactly what you're doing. By doing that roll mechanic, it makes your helicopter look way more erratic. So if you have a jet trying to do like a strafe on you, this whole rolling, spinning back around and flipping around, it's making your helicopter go all over the place. So they're trying to over predict on where they're going to be shooting you. And that's going to help you a lot for dodging heavy rockets on your turn, dodging a jet cannon, versus a really soft, steady turn, like what you get from just using your mouse or your keybind input. Now, another question that I get asked a lot is, hey, Wolf, why do you have spacebar bound to turn right, left control to turn left, also bound on your mouse as well? Why do you have it double key bound? It's just that way in more close combat situations, I can keep my mouse hand freed up just for the fine-tuned movements when I'm actually trying to aim at what I'm trying to shoot at. And I can just use that control or spacebar to turn my helicopter around. It just helps me a little bit. It's not something that you really have to have, but for me, I kind of alternate between using my mouse and spacebar and control to turn, just depending on the situation that I'm in the game. Especially when I'm being attacked and trying to defend myself at the same time. That way my mouse hand isn't focused on turning at all. It is strictly primed and ready just for the fine-tuned movements that I need to actually shoot at whatever's shooting at me. These are the main key mechanics of movement to get you around the map and flying around. So the very last thing that I want to talk about is navigating mountains and navigating buildings. So mountains and buildings act as cover for you when you're flying the helicopter in Battlefield 6. So you want to learn how to navigate them. Now, in this video, you've already learned all the basic controls for the helicopter. Hopefully you've spent some time just hovering in the sky, practicing everything and getting a good feel for it. Now that you've figured out how to turn, how to 180, how to navigate, how to roll, and how that all affects the helicopter and the weight of the helicopter, let's talk about going around this mountain. So when you're navigating the mountains, I like to stay as low and close to the mountain as possible. Again, just like you were doing earlier with the roll mechanic, what you do is you just slowly pull up, go over the top of the mountain. But what's important is once you come up over the mountain, you want to hold down the S key to drop down the backside of the mountain. That's going to give you so much speed. So when I come up over the top of the mountain like this, watch what happens when I hold down S when I come back down this other side. When I just tap S. I don't even have to hold it. All you do is you just tap S. What that does is it makes it to where when you're coming over these mountains, it makes it to where you can actually drop back down the other side really fast and use the speed and weight of that helicopter to pick up even more speed when you're navigating the mountainsides. Just practice staying very, very close to the mountain. So this is going to do two things for you. Not only is this going to help you learn how to navigate structures and how to fly around the mountains, but it's also going to make you a way harder target to hit. One of the biggest threats in this game is enemy jets and enemy helicopters for that matter. And when they get a bead on you and they're doing a strafe run on you, one of the best things you can do is move fast, move erratic, and move close to cover. Because if that jet is strafing you from an angle, he's not going to be able to follow you around these different curves and around these mountains in order to take you out of the game. So use these mountains, use this technique that I'm showing you right here to drop back down the back sides of the mountains and just practice this. If you just spend a little bit of time doing this, going up, going down, and just learning how to fly close to structure cover like this, it's going to make doing things like flying under pipes, flying between buildings, way, way easier for you. One of the other things that is really beneficial about learning how to navigate mountains like this is it can actually help you when you're fighting an enemy helicopter or even an enemy jet for that matter. So let's say that you weren't paying attention to the enemy spawn, the enemy helicopter spawned on you, and he's like right on you. What you can do is when you drop around this mountain like this, around the backside, as soon as he comes over that ledge, you can flip around and do a 180 on him and shoot at him as he comes over the top of the ledge. Again, this is all very situational, because a lot of the time when you're in a helicopter fight, you don't want to give up the high ground. You definitely want to keep high ground as much as possible. We'll get into that into a later video. But situationally, it can really, really help you with kind of surprising the enemy, especially when you flip around the top of a mountain like this, and then he comes around the corner, and then you light him up as he comes around the corner. Sometimes they just don't expect that to happen. All right, you guys, so that pretty much concludes video 1 on basic movement control of the helicopter for Battlefield 6. Now, I do want to end this on one more trial for you guys. So now that you guys gotten the basic movement controls figured out, up, down, left, right, look left, knowing the inertia and weight of the helicopter mechanics, turning the helicopter, your roll mechanics, how to navigate a mountain, how to get your speed up. What I want you to do is, especially on Operation Firestorm, I'll give you the code for the server that I'm playing on so you can practice this. But I want you to practice your fine-tuned movements. So what I want you to do is come over to a little spot like this. And again, I want you to take it slow. The whole reason for this is just that way you can practice tapping A and D, W and S. And I want you just to slowly navigate all of these structures. Now, the purpose of this is to gain some comfort with flying your objects, but also to get those fine-tuned adjustments nailed into your muscle memory. Taking the time to do this is going to help you a lot with figuring out what it takes to move this helicopter around and making those small adjustments. So once you do this for a little while, and again, practice as long as it takes, whatever gets you to the point where you're not crashing into the pipes or hitting the ground or taking anything out when you're doing this, kind of like what I did with that little sign right there. Just spend your time going through here and practicing and getting those fine adjustments figured out. There's a whole lot of little areas in here that you can fly around. Practice flying through here. But again, if you're new to this, take it slow, fly slow, and just kind of get those fine-tuned adjustments figured out. And then after you spend a little bit of time doing that, you can speed it up a little bit. You can pretty much pick up your speed and come back down and come through here really fast, fly underneath these two bridges, pick it back up, come back over here, flip down underneath this pipe, continue to hold down and flip back around, go underneath here again, flip back again, go back through here. And pretty much now that you've gotten like the smaller speed stuff figured out, you're able to come in here and do all the faster speed stuff and actually flip around the map. And that's when it starts to get fun. You can start to challenge yourself to doing different things, flying around the map and doing all these different tricks as you're coming around. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this was helpful for you guys. And I hope that in future videos that I put out, it will help you guys kind of understand the movement mechanics of the helicopter and more so the shooting side of it as well. So yeah, practice doing that, flying around the map, flying under the bridges, and just kind of make your own little courses. But really the main purpose of it is to just get that muscle memory of how that attack helicopter is going to handle when you're flying it around the map. Well, I really hope that this video helps some of you guys out. I know this was a lot of the basics that a lot of people already know about the helicopter, but again, I wanted to start off video 1 with just addressing the simple basics of flying the attack helicopter in this game. So hopefully somebody learned something from this. Again, part 2 is going to be coming pretty soon, and then part 3 right after that, where I get more into the in-depth advanced techniques with the helicopter, thought process, and things like that. So if you guys enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, I would really appreciate it if you guys would follow me, subscribe, and feel free to share this video with any of your communities or friends that are interested in Battlefield 6. And on that note, I'm going to head on out. So I will catch you guys in the next video. See you next time.